welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where we had our first snowfall. Didn't come until Thursday, so we start the week here with Grizzer returning back to the new portion of his habitat after we concreted a lip in the front of his den to give him a little bit more protective cover from the rain. We weren't certain if he was going to be a little intimidated by it, but as you can see, he liked the smell and he actually was marking it and trying to scent roll on it. But what this does is when it rains, it keeps the rain on kind of the backside of the rock so that that den stays dry. As you can see, he was pretty excited. Does a Grizzard 500, which is essentially running. This is his first time back in since Friday. Actually, last Friday we locked him off and did the concrete work, and you can see he's pretty excited about getting back to his new habitat and checking out the smells. And I'm not sure if you noticed on the webcam, but while we were working on the concrete, my grandson helped me out, and Oscar was also in the enclosure. So Oscar was playing in his pond, was digging around, and so he has a lot of Oscar sense to investigate and sniff and kind of see what was there. So it was really good stimulus for Grizzer. We solved a problem that would have resulted in a wet den, which is not a good scenario. We always want the dens to be dry. And you'll notice we put straw in the den and give him a good place to bed, and he's been using it. Since this footage was taken last Monday, there's definitely a Grizzer impression inside the den, so he's been sleeping in it at night. And here you see him trying to scent roll on the concrete smell. So we left him out. Again, we did it on Friday, left it out Saturday, Sunday, took the forms off, and then Monday morning let him back in. So we had a couple of days of drying, so we knew that it wouldn't be compromised. But you can see the excitement that this guy has. He's definitely, likes a new habitat and certainly likes his opportunities to be back into it. So we've been using it. The nice design about this was that we're able to maneuver wolves and move them around for various projects, and that was a good test for us to see. We had Grizzer in the pack holding area and then did some work here and then returned him to that area. So as I said, Oscar was around the enclosure, and so that gives him a lot of sense to investigate and try to figure out if Oscar cached anything or if Oscar took a cache. You're going to see him investigate and dig a little bit here. So as I may have mentioned last week, we have the Working for Wolves going on this weekend, and so Grizzer is going to spend a little bit more time in this pack holding area while the work is being completed on his enclosure, the pack holding area. Sorry, he's going to be back in this new habitat. We are going to put some more protective panels to protect the snow of the pack holding area. We're also going to be putting up a secondary fence that's going to keep Oscar and the pups kind of away from Shadow Malik, and that's going to take some time. And actually Shadow Malik are going to move into the pack holding area for the Working for Wolves construction. We're going to do some repair of some underground fencing that's been exposed, take some trees out, and give Shadow Malik their winter straw. So that's starting this week. So as the video is named, snow did come, but it came later in the week, and so what you're seeing is footage from Monday. And again, Grizzer excited to be back and really checking out that new concrete area. Everything we do with wolves has to be concrete, has to be protected pretty well because they do investigate quite a bit. So we use rock, we use concrete, make a nice firm surface for Grizzer to be able to step on it and not have any risk of any of those rocks sliding out. So that was a good project. And in retirement, starting again to see a little bit of posturing. Shadow's feeling a little bit better, and you can see that here because Shadow is on the back side, kind of posturing and doing a chin rest over Malik, but Malik's not quite ready to give up the status that he gained when Shadow wasn't feeling very well. He's going to circle around Shadow and just show him that he's still interested in a little bit of status. We kind of knew that snow was coming because these guys usually get excited before the first snowfall. I don't know if that's because they're Arctic wolves or they're old wolves. I'm not really sure why, but prior to a snow, they get a little bit rambunctious. So we started seeing some activity in here. Again, Shadow is feeling better, so that may have been it as well, that he's feeling good and he's starting to run around a little bit. But we started to see a little chase behavior and the typical sniffing, investigating the camera person, checking out their shoes. I believe a roadkill was picked up and had a little bit of blood on the shoes. That might have caused that. But the behavioral patterns, again, with Shadow Malik are a little bit more subdued, but certainly something that is still worthy of noting and something that we kind of keep an eye on. And there's been a little bit of, again, more sign of Malik status, and this is Malik doing an RLU here. And the only difference is if you notice, he does an RLU and kind of walks away with a T2 tail. Shadow comes right over, does an overmark, and also an RLU. But hopefully you'll notice the difference between a wolf who thinks he's more confident, and that's the scrape of the ground, and then again the excitement. So, and that usually tells us that Shadow's feeling pretty good. So, and this is another indication. Like I say, this is the things that we look for usually right before we get a lot of snow. These guys get really excited, and when it does snow, they are even more excited. So we saw that on Wednesday, and again, just a little more posturing. Shadow in the back, Malik kind of in the front, and again, notice Malik's hackles, and then Shadow gets real excited. And we're, a lot of chase scenes, a lot of interactions. Of course, with Shadow's running around, Malik's going to come over and try to posture a little bit. So we saw that on Wednesday, and so we kind of had a sense, who knows if they're picking up on barometric pressure changes or, it's just coincidental. It's it's hard to really determine that, but weather reports were calling for some snow in the forecast, and we were watching wolves that were just springing around in action, and that probably was a good indication to us that snow was coming. So again, Malik comes back over. Notice how he averts his gaze. Hackles go up. Shadow circles and follows, and then goes into, again, a little bit more intimidation, and that's where Malik drops his ears. So I think Shadow's probably over what he was feeling and on the upward trend. We had a dusting again on Thursday morning, and then the surveillance cameras picked up this significant part of the snowstorm. So we basically woke up to some snow on the ground. It started snowing fairly early on Thursday, and this elderberry here, for whatever reason, doesn't turn any fall colors, just is green and just kind of falls off. So not only are Shadow Malik getting excited, but Aiden and Denali have the same kind of excitement as the snow falls. We didn't get a lot of footage from Aiden and Denali this week, just, we thought we'd feature the other two packs, the retirees, a little bit more. And more or less that's just because of timing. We had a lot of work to get ready for the weekend work crew, and so we didn't spend as much time filming with these two individuals as we did with Shadow Malik and Grizzer, but they're doing good, and still a little bit of posturing between the individuals. Snow somehow always brings out the best in everybody, and they like to play a little bit on it, so a lot of little log rolling here from Denali, but overall, we are seeing them being fairly compatible. This weekend we'll be draining the pond, so they'll be done with that sound, or that sound of the pumps and the smells that go along with the pond. It's really too cold, and the water system's too shallow to keep that running all winter long. As we said, we have 2 winter waterers, so they do have a good water supply all winter, but this is what the surveillance camera picked up. So what you saw was footage from 7 a.m. on Thursday, where we just had a light dusting. By about 10 o'clock, we start to get a significant snowfall, and we actually got about 3 inches, so kind of an interesting view from the surveillance camera. That's actually Malik in the den there, and you can see the snow just starting to accumulate and pile up, and giving a nice winter view. A little bit early for us, in October, but it all actually melted pretty quickly. So the other question is, how does Oscar deal with the snow? Well, Oscar has one of the old dog houses from the 1993 litter. This used to be in the retired pen before we put a concrete dog house in, and Oscar does have that in the yard. If it's real damp and wet, he'll stay in the lab, and if it's cools off or it warms up a little bit, or if it's not snowing, he will be outside in the lab where he has got the dog house. But for the most part, he's not bothered by snow at all. We're definitely seeing a growth of a winter coat, and the more exposure he gets to, time outside, the better his coat will be. But the dog house is right next to the medical pen, so he's on the house, climbing on it, and biting sticks, doing what he needs to do to entertain himself as a 2-year-old dog. So the snow didn't bother him at all. He actually did spend the rest of the day in the lab, but he enjoyed the snowfall about as much as the wolves did. So And again, just footage showing him next to the wolves. That's Denali, and Oscar's got a very confident tail and does, goes about his business and doesn't really even pay attention to the wolf that's whining behind him there. And he does have a little bit of a biting a plant issue, so we haven't figured that out yet. But that's about it from Wolf Care. Like I say, the snow's melted, so we're back to just having kind of a dreary fall kind of conditions. But everybody's doing well, and again, thanks for watching. Talk to you next week.